Listen to me, the biggest enemy stopping your success isn't around you. It's inside you. It's not your family. It's not your boss. It's not your past. It's not your pain. It's your excuses. Every time you say, I can't, every time you whisper, maybe tomorrow, every time you blame someone else, you give away a piece of your power. You've prayed for change. You've wished for better. You've said you want to rise, but then you let excuses chain your feet. Excuses are the invisible ropes that tie strong people to weak lives. They sound gentle, but they steal your destiny quietly. Today, I came to tell you one truth. It's time to kill your excuses before they kill your dreams. Because excuses are comfortable. Excuses feel safe. Excuses sound logical, but they are lies dressed as reasons. The moment you let them live inside you, they poison your growth. You can't climb a mountain while holding onto your excuses. You can't build your future with your hands full of, I can't. So today, I want you to decide, right here, right now, are you going to live by your excuses or are you going to live by your purpose? Because you cannot serve both. Every excuse you make is not a reflection of your weakness. It's a reflection of your fear. Fear wears many masks. Sometimes it looks like doubt. Sometimes it sounds like logic. Sometimes it hides behind words like, I'm not ready, or I'll start next week, or I don't have enough time. But deep down, it's the same thing. The silent whisper of fear trying to convince you that comfort is safer than courage. And every time you listen to that whisper, you bury your potential a little deeper beneath layers of hesitation. Think about it. How many times in your life have you wanted to do something? Start a business, change a habit, speak up, chase a dream. But then you hesitated because you feared what could go wrong. You told yourself stories to make it feel okay. It's not the right time. I'll do it when I have more money. I'm waiting for the right opportunity. But if you look closer, those were never real reasons. They were just excuses decorated with fear, fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of losing, fear of not being enough. Excuses are comfortable because they protect you from risk. They create a soft bed for your fears to rest in. They tell you, stay where you are. It's safe here. And that's the trap. The comfort zone feels good, but nothing grows there. Flowers don't bloom in the dark, and dreams don't rise in safety. Growth only happens when you step into the unknown. Imagine a man who always wanted to start his own business. Every day he wakes up, goes to a job he doesn't love, and tells himself, one day I'll start my own thing. But one day never comes. Why? Because every morning he finds another excuse. The economy isn't good right now. I have bills to pay. I'll do it when I save enough money. Months turn into years, and before he knows it, he's still stuck where he was, living a life built on excuses. And the saddest part, deep inside, he knows he could have done it. That regret burns deeper than any failure ever could. Fear disguises itself as wisdom. It tells you not to take risks because it wants to keep you safe. But real wisdom doesn't keep you stuck. It teaches you to prepare, to act, to grow. Fear says, what if you fail? Wisdom says, what if you learn? Fear says, you're not ready. Wisdom says, you'll never be ready until you start. The difference between the two is everything. One keeps you caged, the other helps you climb. Look around you. Every great person you admire once felt the same fear. They had doubts, they had insecurities, they had excuses. The difference is they didn't let fear make their decisions. They acted anyway. They moved forward trembling, uncertain, scared. But they moved. The only difference between the people who win and those who stay stuck is the ability to act in spite of fear. You see, fear is not the enemy. Fear is proof that you're about to do something important. It's a signal that you're stepping out of comfort and into growth. The real danger is not fear. It's surrendering to it. The moment you let fear control your choices, your dreams begin to fade. Excuses feed that fear. They give it power. They make it grow. And before long, you start believing that your excuses are the truth. But here's the truth. Every excuse can be rewritten as action. I don't have time becomes, I'll make time. I'm not ready becomes, I'll learn as I go. It's too hard becomes, it's worth the effort. You have to flip the script. Life will never hand you the perfect moment. You have to create it. You have to decide that your purpose is stronger than your excuses. There's a story of a young woman who always wanted to get in shape. Every year she promised herself, this year I'll start. But every morning she'd wake up, look at the gym bag and say, tomorrow. She'd tell herself she was too tired, too busy, too stressed. Then one day, she looked in the mirror and realized her excuses had become her lifestyle. That day, she didn't wait for motivation. She didn't wait for a Monday. She simply started. It was hard. It was painful. But day by day, she changed. Not because she found the perfect plan, but because she stopped finding excuses. That's what it means to kill your excuses. It's not about denying your fear. It's about refusing to be ruled by it. You acknowledge it, but you still move. You hear it, but you still act. You feel it, but you still step forward. The power lies not in being fearless, but in being brave enough to act while fear is still present. The truth is, most people never fail. They simply never start. They spend their lives building walls of reasons instead of building bridges of actions. They keep saying, when I have more time, not realizing that time doesn't wait for anyone. They keep saying, when I'm ready, not realizing that readiness is born in motion, not in waiting. So the next time fear whispers in your ear, remind yourself every excuse you make feeds your fear. Every action you take starves it. You can't let fear and faith live in the same space. One will grow, the other will die. Choose to feed your courage, not your excuses. You may not control what happens around you, but you always control how you respond. Don't let your excuses become your story. The world doesn't need another person who almost did something. It needs someone who did it despite the odds, someone who stood up when fear said sit down, someone who acted when logic said wait. Excuses may comfort you today, but they will cost you tomorrow. The moment you stop giving them power, you unlock the strength that's been sleeping inside you. And when that happens, nothing, no fear, no failure, no obstacle can stop you, because the one who kills their excuses becomes unstoppable. Your circumstances do not define who you are, your choices do. Life is full of people who had every reason to quit, every reason to fail, every reason to say, it's not my fault. Yet somehow they rose. They didn't rise because life favored them. They rose because they refused to be defined by their circumstances. They made a choice to fight, to believe, to move forward when it would have been easier to give up. That's what separates the people who succeed from those who stay stuck. It's not luck. It's not privilege. It's choice. You see, circumstances are like weather. Some days the sun shines, other days the storm hits hard. But the weather doesn't decide whether you'll reach your destination. You do. The sailor who turns back at every cloud never crosses the ocean. And that's what most people do. The moment life gets cloudy, they stop. They blame the wind, the waves, the rain. They say, if I had more support, I'd make it. Or if life was easier, I'd try harder. But excuses don't move ships. Decisions do. I've seen people with everything working against them rise higher than those who had every advantage. A young man born in poverty with no guidance, no help, no education. Yet he chose to study late at night under a streetlight because he didn't have electricity at home. He could have said, this is unfair. He could have said, others have it better. But instead, he made a choice to use what he had instead of crying about what he didn't. That's what choice looks like. It's turning pain into purpose and struggle into strength. Then there's the other side, the person who has everything, a good home, a degree, opportunities, and still complains, still blames, still waits for things to be perfect before taking action. That's the difference between being defined by your circumstances and deciding your own definition. It's easy to say, I can't, when things are hard. It's easy to point fingers and say, if only I had what they have. But every moment you say that, you're giving your power away. You're letting life decide your limits instead of you deciding your destiny. The truth is, circumstances test your strength, but they don't determine your story. You can be born in darkness and still choose to become light. You can be broken and still choose to heal. You can be poor and still choose to dream big. Life is not about what happens to you. It's about what you do with what happens. Think about a seed. When it's buried in the ground, it's surrounded by dirt, darkness, and pressure. It could complain that life is unfair, that it's stuck under heavy soil, but it doesn't. Instead, it uses that pressure to push upward, to grow, to break through. The same dirt that buries it becomes the ground that feeds it. That's what powerful people do. They use their pain as soil, not as chains. Your life is a garden of choices. Every day you plant something: faith or fear, action or hesitation, strength or excuse. Your harvest tomorrow depends on what you choose to plant today. You can't keep planting blame and expect growth. You can't keep planting excuses and expect progress. Every choice you make either pushes you closer to your destiny or pulls you further away. Maybe you didn't choose your start. Maybe life dealt you a difficult hand. But you still get to choose your play. You get to choose your mindset, your attitude, your response. You get to decide, I will not stay down. And that single decision can change everything. There was once a woman who lost her job unexpectedly. For weeks she sat at home blaming the company, the economy, even her friends. But one morning she looked in the mirror and said, enough. She decided to take control of her life. She started learning new skills online. Small business from her living room, and within a year, she was employing others. Did her circumstances change? No, she changed. And when she changed, her circumstances followed. That's the secret. Life doesn't change because you wait, it changes because you act. Your choices have the power to shift your entire direction. A small decision made with courage can open doors that fear kept closed. You may not have control over everything, but you always have control over something. The power to choose your attitude, the power to choose your response, the power to choose not to give up. Don't let your past become your prison. Don't let your environment become your excuse. There are people who came from worse and still made it. There are people who lost more and still found purpose. You are not a victim of your circumstances unless you choose to be. You can rewrite your story at any moment. You can decide, I won't let what happened to me define what I become. That one thought separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Life will test you. It will try to break you. Every test is also a question: will you let your situation shape your spirit, or will your spirit reshape your situation? When life throws storms, some people build shelters. Others build ships. The ones who build ships are the ones who move forward no matter what the weather says. Your circumstances are real, but they are not final. What's final is your choice, your decision to stand up again, to keep moving, to keep believing even when everything says stop. You have that power inside you. You have the power to choose growth over excuses, action over fear, determination over despair. So stop saying, I can't because of my circumstances. Start saying, I can despite my circumstances. Because the moment you say that, the universe listens. Life begins to open up. Opportunities start to appear. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Remember this, your circumstances can't define you unless you surrender your power to them. The richest soil grows the strongest trees because it's full of pressure, weight, and challenge. The same way, your struggles are not meant to bury you. They're meant to build you. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not your environment. You are your choices. And the day you choose to rise above your situation, that's the day you become unstoppable. Perfection is a beautiful lie. It whispers softly, wait until everything is right. Wait until you're fully ready. Wait until the timing is perfect. And while you wait, life moves on, opportunities pass, moments fade, dreams grow cold. The truth is, if you keep waiting for everything to be perfect, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Nothing and no one is ever perfectly ready. The world doesn't reward those who wait, it rewards those who start. Look around you. Every success story began with uncertainty. Every dreamer who became great started when things were messy, unclear, and imperfect. They didn't have the best plan, the best resources, or even full confidence. But they moved. They took that first shaky step. Because perfection isn't the beginning of success, it's the result of consistent action. You get better by starting, not by waiting. Think about a baby learning to walk. They fall, they wobble, they stumble, but they keep trying. They don't say, I'll start walking when I'm sure I won't fall again. They walk because they fall. Their falls make them stronger. That's how life works. You learn by doing. You grow by trying. You win by showing up even when you're scared. Too many people wait for the perfect time, waiting until they have more money, more energy, more knowledge. more confidence. But the truth is, there is no perfect time. The right time is always now. The longer you wait, the more your dream fades. Time doesn't stand still for hesitation. The days you waste waiting are days you'll never get back. I once knew a man who wanted to open a small restaurant. He had passion, talent, and recipes people loved. But every year, he said the same thing: not yet. I'm not ready. The economy isn't good. I'll wait until next year. He waited 5 years. Then one day, someone else opened a restaurant on the same street with a similar idea. That person didn't wait for perfect timing. They just started. Within a year, the place was thriving. And the man who kept waiting stood outside one evening, looking through the window, realizing that his dream was now someone else's reality. Perfection is a form of fear disguised as preparation. It tricks you into believing you're doing something productive, researching, planning, getting ready. But what you're really doing is avoiding risk. You can't cross the ocean by staring at maps. You have to set sail, even if you don't know where every wave will take you. Think of an artist standing before a blank canvas. If they waited for the perfect idea, the perfect brush, or the perfect inspiration, the canvas would stay empty forever. But when they pick up the brush, even unsure, even imperfectly, something begins to take shape. And in that messy process, beauty is born. The masterpiece doesn't start perfect. It becomes perfect because they dared to begin. Starting before you're ready doesn't mean being careless. It means having faith that you'll learn along the way. Every expert was once a beginner. Every strong voice once trembled. Every confident leader once doubted themselves. The difference is they didn't let that doubt silence their action. They began where they were, with what they had. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs people who are willing to take imperfect action. Because perfection is not progress, it's paralysis. It stops you from moving, from growing, from discovering what you're capable of. It's better to take one imperfect step forward than to spend your life standing still. Imagine a young woman who dreams of writing a book. She has ideas, stories, and passion, but she keeps saying, I'll start when I know exactly how to write well. Years go by, and the story stays trapped in her mind. One day, she decides to write anyway. She writes badly, she makes mistakes, she rewrites chapters over and over, but she finishes. And when she holds that book in her hands, she realizes something powerful. She didn't need to be perfect to start. She needed to start to become great. That's how transformation happens. You don't wake up confident. You build confidence through courage. You don't find clarity before you act. You find clarity through action. Life rewards movement, not hesitation. Even small steps create momentum, and momentum is magic. It turns fear into fuel and hesitation into power. People often say, I'll start when I'm not afraid. But fear doesn't leave. You just grow stronger than it. Fear never disappears before you start. It disappears after you start. The first step is always the hardest because it breaks the chain of excuses. Once you take it, every step after becomes easier. And here's something to remember. Perfection is an illusion created by comparison. We look at others and think they have it all figured out. But behind every success story, there are messy drafts, sleepless nights, and countless failures. The difference is, they didn't post their struggles, they pushed through them. They dared to show up imperfectly, and that made all the difference. Your journey will never be flawless, but it can be fearless. You will fall, you will fail, you will face doubt. But that's the process of becoming. Every mistake teaches. Every setback shapes. Every challenge builds. Don't let the pursuit of perfection steal your chance to grow. Start messy. Start unsure. Start afraid. But start. Because 1 year from now, you'll look back and be grateful that you didn't wait for perfect conditions. You'll realize that progress, not perfection, was the real goal. The dream that stays in your mind will never matter as much as the dream you bring to life. So stop waiting for the sun to shine perfectly, for the timing to align, for the confidence to arrive. Life doesn't wait for you, it moves. And it's your decision whether to move with it or stay behind. Begin now. Take the step. Trust yourself enough to start even when everything isn't clear. Because one bold step today will always be worth more than 1,000 perfect tomorrows. Pain is the price of growth. You can't evolve without it. You can't become stronger, wiser, or better unless you're willing to walk through some fire. Every great story you admire was built on discomfort, struggle, and challenge. Yet we live in a world that tells us to avoid pain, to run from it, to numb it, to escape it. But what if I told you that pain isn't your enemy? What if I told you that pain is your teacher, your sculptor, your greatest push toward purpose? When a seed is buried deep in the soil, it must break open before it can grow. It doesn't complain about the darkness or the pressure. It pushes through it. That breaking process is painful, but without it, there's no life. The same applies to you. The things that break you are often the very things that build you. The pain you feel today might just be the foundation of the strength you'll stand on tomorrow. We all want to rise, but few want to endure the process that rising requires. Growth isn't comfortable, it's demanding. It pulls you beyond your limits, tests your patience, and challenges your faith. The gym hurts before you see muscles. The lessons sting before you gain wisdom. The heartbreak burns before you learn self-worth. Every transformation begins with pain. It's nature's way of preparing you for the next level. Think about the butterfly. Before it can fly, it must first be a caterpillar, trapped inside a cocoon, struggling in darkness. That struggle is necessary. If someone were to cut open the cocoon to help, the butterfly would never fly. It's the pressure, the fight, the resistance that gives it strength to lift its wings. Your pain works the same way. It's not trying to destroy you, it's trying to develop you. In life, pain reveals what comfort hides. When everything is easy, we stay the same. But when we hurt, when we're pushed, when we lose, that's when we discover who we really are. Pain strips away our illusions and forces us to face our truth. It shows us what we're made of. It teaches us resilience, patience, humility, and gratitude, lessons that comfort could never teach. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man who dreamed of being a successful athlete. He trained hard, but one day, he suffered a serious injury that ended his season. He felt broken, lost, and angry. But instead of giving up, he chose to use that pain as fuel. During his recovery, he studied fitness, learned more about the human body, and discovered a passion for coaching others. Years later, he became a world-class trainer, helping others avoid the mistakes he once made. His pain redirected his purpose. What looked like an ending became a new beginning. That's the beauty of pain. It has a purpose, even when you can't see it yet. Every setback can shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate if you allow it. But you must stop seeing pain as punishment. It's not here to break you, it's here to wake you. When you face challenges, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Because every painful experience carries a lesson that comfort never could. Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's teaching you discipline. Maybe it's teaching you to let go of what's no longer serving you. Whatever the lesson, it's meant to grow you, not destroy you. Pain also builds empathy. When you've been through storms, you understand the struggles of others more deeply. You become kinder, more grounded, more human. You can't truly connect with others if you've never faced hardship. Pain humbles you. It softens your heart while sharpening your spirit. It reminds you that you're not made of glass, you're made of gold, refined by fire. Growth hurts because it demands change. You can't stay the same and expect new results. Sometimes pain comes not because you're weak, but because you're outgrowing where you are. The job that no longer excites you, the friendship that no longer feeds you, the habits that hold you back. Letting go of these things hurts, but staying stuck hurts even more. Change will always come with pain, but it's the only way to become who you're meant to be. Remember, pressure creates diamonds. Fire forges steel. Storms strengthen trees. Nothing valuable grows without resistance. So when life tests you, don't say, why is this happening to me? Say, this is shaping me. Because it is. Every challenge is molding you into someone capable of more strength, more wisdom, more grace. There was once a woman who lost everything she thought she needed: her job, her home, her stability. For months, she felt crushed by the weight of uncertainty. But that loss forced her to look within. It made her discover talents she didn't know she had. She started a small business, built it from scratch, and turned her pain into progress. Later, she said, losing everything was the best thing that ever happened to me. It taught me who I really am. That's what pain does. It introduces you to your power. You can read all the motivational quotes in the world, but until you face hardship, you'll never truly understand your strength. You'll never know how far you can go until pain pushes you past your limits. So stop running from pain. Stop trying to avoid every uncomfortable feeling. Embrace it, feel it, learn from it. Use it, because pain is not your enemy. It's your invitation to evolve. When you understand that, every difficulty becomes a tool for transformation. There will be days when it hurts so bad that you'll want to quit. But remember this, you are not meant to stay in pain. You are meant to grow through it. One day, you'll look back and realize that the moments that broke you were the very moments that built you. The nights that made you cry were the nights that made you strong. You don't have to love pain, but you must respect it. Because behind every breakthrough is a breakdown that tested you. Behind every success is a season of struggle that refined you. So the next time you feel pain, don't curse it, thank it. It's not a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that you're becoming. Pain is not your end, it's your beginning. It's proof that you're alive, that you're growing, that you're changing, and when you finally rise from it, you'll see. Pain wasn't there to destroy you. It was there to remind you that you were always stronger than you thought. The day you take full responsibility for your life is the day your excuses die. Responsibility is the death of excuses because it removes the ability to point fingers. It forces you to look in the mirror and say, if my life is going to change, it's up to me. Most people never reach their potential because they keep waiting for someone else to fix their situation. They blame their parents, their boss, the government, the economy, their past, even luck. But the truth is, as long as you're blaming something else, you're handing away your power. Responsibility is not about fault, it's about freedom. The moment you accept that your life is yours to shape, you unlock a level of power that no excuse can match. There's a story of a man who grew up in a broken neighborhood. He could have easily said, I never had the chance. And no one would have blamed him. He watched others fall into crime, addiction, and despair. But instead of following the same path, he made a decision. He said, I can't control where I was born, but I can control where I'm going. That one thought changed everything. He worked long nights, studied after work, saved every penny, and years later, he owned the business that once refused to hire him. He didn't wait for life to be fair. He decided to make life work for him. That's what responsibility looks like. It's not about having everything easy. It's about owning your choices even when life feels unfair. When you start blaming others, you lose control. You hand over the steering wheel of your destiny to circumstances. But when you take responsibility, you take back the wheel. You may not control the weather, but you control how you sail through it. You may not control what life throws at you, but you control how you respond. That response determines everything. Responsibility means saying, I may not have caused this, but I'll deal with it. Life will hit you with things you didn't expect, loss, betrayal, disappointment, but your power lies in your reaction. Some people get hit and stay down, others get hit and rise stronger. The difference is responsibility. The moment you say, it's on me to rebuild, the world starts shifting in your favor. Think about it. You can't change your past, but you can change what your past means to you. You can't control what people say about you, but you can control how much power you give their words. You can't control every problem, but you can control your mindset, your effort, and your decisions. Responsibility puts the focus back where it belongs on what you can do. There's a saying that goes, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. That's the mindset of winners. They don't wait for motivation, they create it. They don't wait for opportunity, they build it. They don't blame the system, they find a way through it. Responsibility is not about perfection, it's about direction. It means accepting that you are the author of your story. And if the chapter doesn't read the way you want, you have the pen to rewrite it. A young woman once told me that she spent years blaming her boss for holding her back. She said, never promotes me. He doesn't see my value. One day, she realized she was spending more energy complaining than improving. So she stopped blaming and started building. She learned new skills, volunteered for projects, and became so good that she was noticed by another company who hired her at double the salary. When she looked back, she said, "The moment I stopped waiting for him to recognize me and started recognizing myself, everything changed." That's the shift responsibility creates. It turns frustration into fuel. When you take responsibility, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I will." You stop seeing problems as walls and start seeing them as doors waiting to be opened. Life doesn't respond to excuses, it responds to effort. The more ownership you take, the more control you gain. But let's be real, taking responsibility isn't easy. It requires courage. It's easier to blame others because blame gives you temporary relief. It allows you to say, "It's not my fault," and feel better for a moment. That relief comes at the cost of progress. Responsibility, on the other hand, might sting at first. It forces you to confront hard truths, but it empowers you. It puts your life back in your hands. Responsibility also builds respect, both from others and from yourself. When people see you owning your actions, even your mistakes, they trust you more. They see strength, maturity, leadership. But the real magic happens inside. You begin to respect yourself. You start realizing you are capable of changing your own circumstances. That self-respect creates confidence, and confidence creates momentum. Look at any successful person, and you'll see the same pattern. They didn't get there because life was easy. They got there because they stopped waiting for help. They said, "I am responsible for my dream," and that mindset moved mountains. Responsibility gives you power because it eliminates the what-ifs. It silences the noise and centers your focus on solutions instead of problems. Even when life feels unfair, and sometimes it truly is, you still have a choice. You can either let unfairness define you, or you can define yourself despite it. Responsibility is not about ignoring the pain or pretending everything's okay. It's about saying, "Yes, this hurts. Yes, it's difficult. But I refuse to let it control me. I choose to rise." That's the voice of someone who's in control of their destiny. So when things fall apart, when people let you down, when life feels heavy, don't run from responsibility. Embrace it. Because the moment you take ownership of your life, you gain the power to change it. Stop waiting for rescue. You are your own rescue. You are your own solution. Every excuse you kill brings you closer to your potential. Every time you say, "It's my responsibility," you reclaim a piece of your strength. The day you stop blaming and start building, the day you stop complaining and start creating, that's the day you begin to rise. Responsibility isn't a burden, it's a blessing. It's the key that unlocks freedom, growth, and power. And when you finally hold that key, nothing, no obstacle, no failure, no past can stop you from unlocking your future. Discipline is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. You can have the greatest vision, the strongest desire, and the boldest goals. But without discipline, they remain nothing more than words written in the sand, washed away by the tide of laziness and distraction. Discipline is the silent power that turns "I wish" into "I will." It is the habit of doing what must be done, even when you don't feel like it. The truth is, success doesn't come to the most talented, it comes to the most disciplined. Because talent is potential, but discipline is execution. Every great achiever you admire has one thing in common: they learned to master themselves before they mastered their craft. The athlete who wakes up at 4 a.m. to train when others are still sleeping understands that discipline creates results long before applause ever comes. The student who studies daily, even when no exam is near, is building the mental muscle that will separate them from the average. The entrepreneur who grinds through rejection after rejection without quitting is not fueled by motivation. It's discipline that keeps the fire burning when passion fades. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. Think about this: motivation is like a spark. It burns bright, but it doesn't last long. Discipline is the steady flame that keeps the fire alive through the darkest nights. There will be days when you won't feel inspired, days when you'll be tired, frustrated, or overwhelmed, days when quitting will seem easier than continuing. But it's in those moments that discipline whispers, "Keep going." Discipline doesn't rely on mood, it relies on commitment. There's a powerful story of a man who wanted to transform his life. He was overweight, broke, and full of excuses. Every day he said, "Tomorrow I'll start." But tomorrow never came. One morning he looked in the mirror and said, "Enough, no more excuses. I will do what I must, not what I want." That day he started small. He walked for 15 minutes. The next day, 20. Weeks later, he was running. Months later, he had lost the weight, built a business, and regained his confidence. When asked how he did it, he said, "I stopped waiting to feel ready. I became disciplined even when I wasn't motivated." That's the secret. Discipline doesn't wait for the right feeling, it creates it. Discipline means consistency over intensity. It's not about doing everything perfectly one day. It's about showing up every day, even imperfectly. The small daily actions, done repeatedly, compound into greatness. You might not see results today or tomorrow, but with discipline, you're planting seeds that will one day bloom into success. A farmer doesn't plant seeds and dig them up daily to check progress. He trusts the process. He waters them. He waits. That's discipline. To keep watering even when there's no visible result yet. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Social media, comfort, entertainment, they pull your attention in every direction. Discipline is the shield that guards your focus. It's the ability to say no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's meaningful. Every time you resist temptation, you grow stronger. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you upgrade your future. Because success is never about what you do occasionally, it's about what you do consistently. Let's take a real life example. Imagine two people with the same goal to learn a new skill. One practices only when they feel inspired. The other practices every single day. No matter what, a month later, they both see progress, but one moves faster. 6 months later, one is average and the other stands out. A year later, one is still talking about what they'll do someday, and the other is already living the results. The difference isn't talent, it's discipline. Discipline is also about managing your emotions. Sometimes you'll feel fear, frustration, or boredom. But discipline teaches you to act regardless. You don't wait for the storm to pass. You learn to keep walking through it. When you train your mind to follow through despite emotion, you gain control over your life. Most people let their emotions decide their actions. I'm tired, so I'll skip it. I'm not in the mood, so I won't do it. But disciplined people act on decisions, not emotions. That's why they win. Even in relationships, discipline matters. It takes discipline to listen instead of reacting in anger. It takes discipline to stay loyal when temptation calls. It takes discipline to forgive when your ego wants to fight. Discipline builds character, and character builds destiny. Without discipline, even love falls apart because everything great requires effort. Discipline also requires patience. You can't rush growth. You can't force success overnight. The tree that stands tall today once struggled as a tiny seed, pushing through the dirt and darkness before reaching the light. That's discipline, to keep pushing even when you don't see immediate reward. The universe rewards persistence, not excuses. Many people pray for success, but forget that success requires structure. They want results, but avoid routines. They crave greatness, but resist grind. But life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're disciplined enough to work for. Discipline is not punishment, it's training. Just as a diamond is formed under pressure, your potential is shaped through consistent effort. Every morning you wake up, you face two choices: discipline or regret. If you choose discipline, you may feel discomfort for a moment, but if you choose regret, you'll feel pain for a lifetime. Every missed opportunity, every wasted day, every broken promise adds up, but every disciplined act, no matter how small, builds momentum toward the life you desire. So wake up with purpose. Do what you said you'd do. Don't let feelings dictate your future. Discipline yourself to work, to grow, to stay focused. Because when you master discipline, you master life. You stop being a slave to excuses and start being the creator of your destiny. Discipline is not a restriction, it's liberation. It frees you from chaos, from procrastination, from the endless cycle of almost. It teaches you that you don't need to be the best, you just need to be consistent. Because consistency beats talent when talent isn't disciplined. At the end of the day, success isn't built in one grand moment. It's built in quiet, repetitive acts of discipline that no one sees. It's built when you choose progress over comfort, action over excuses, and focus over distraction. Kill your excuses. Feed your discipline. Because the person who masters discipline becomes unstoppable. And once you become unstoppable, the world can't ignore you. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build piece by piece through every challenge you overcome. It is the quiet voice inside that says, I can do this. Even when everything around you screams you can't. Confidence doesn't mean you never feel fear. It means you refuse to let fear control you. It's the courage to take a step even when the path isn't clear. The truth is, no one starts confident. Confidence grows through action, not imagination. It's forged in moments of doubt when you choose to move forward anyway. Think about it. When a child first learns to walk, they fall again and again. But they never stop trying. Each fall builds strength, balance, and courage until one day they take that first confident step. Life works the same way. Every failure, every rejection, every disappointment you face is not a reason to doubt yourself. It's an opportunity to strengthen your confidence. Confidence isn't built in comfort. It's built in persistence. Many people wait for confidence to show up before they act. They say, when I feel ready, I'll start. But confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. You gain confidence by doing. Every time you face fear and move anyway, your self-belief grows stronger. The person who dares to start, even uncertain, will always outrun the person who waits for perfect timing. Because there is no perfect time. There's only now. Confidence is born in the now. Moments when you choose courage over hesitation. Let me give you an example. There was a young man who always dreamed of becoming a public speaker, but he was terrified of speaking in front of people. His hands would shake, his voice would crack, and his mind would go blank. For years, he made excuses. I'll try when I'm more confident, he said. One day, a mentor told him, you don't wait for confidence, you practice it. So he started speaking in small gatherings. Even though he stumbled over words, each time he got better. Each time his fear lost power. Years later, that same man was addressing thousands, his voice strong and sure. When someone asked how he became so confident, he smiled and said, be doing it afraid. That's the secret. Confidence is not the absence of fear, it's the mastery of it. Confidence comes from preparation too. When you prepare, you build faith in your own ability. The student who studies hard walks into the exam hall with a calm mind because they know they've done the work. The athlete who trains every day doesn't need to hope. They know they're ready. Preparation turns doubt into assurance. The more you prepare, the more confidence becomes natural. It's like climbing a mountain. You don't fear the height when you've strengthened your legs through the climb. But confidence isn't arrogance. True confidence doesn't shout, it shines. It doesn't say, I'm better than others. It says, I believe in myself enough to try. Confidence is humility with courage. It's knowing your worth without needing to prove it. It's walking into a room without comparing yourself to anyone else because you know no one can be you. The moment you stop competing with others and start competing with your own potential, confidence becomes effortless. In life, you'll meet people who try to make you doubt yourself. They'll say, you're not good enough, or you can't do that. But remember this, people project their fears onto you. Their limits are not your limits. Confidence means refusing to let someone else's opinion become your reality. If you believe in your dream, protect it fiercely. The world will try to shake your faith, but confidence is your anchor. It keeps you steady through the storms of criticism and failure. Confidence is also built through self-respect. When you keep promises to yourself, even small ones, your self-trust grows. Every time you say, I'll wake up early, and you actually do it, you build inner strength. Every time you say, I'll finish this task, and you follow through, you prove to yourself that your word has power. Confidence is simply the result of keeping your word to yourself. If you keep breaking your own promises, you lose trust in yourself. But when you honor your own commitments, you become unstoppable. One of the greatest confidence killers is comparison. When you compare your journey to others, you destroy your own growth. Everyone has a different path, a different timeline. A different story. The flower doesn't look at the tree and wish to be taller. It blooms where it's planted. That's confidence. To stay rooted in your own process and trust that your time will come. You don't have to be the best. You just have to be your best. Confidence also grows through gratitude. When you focus on what's good about yourself and your life, you shift your energy from lack to strength. Instead of saying, I don't have enough, say, I have what I need to begin. Gratitude fuels belief. It reminds you that you've already overcome so much. And if you've come this far, you can go further. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about being proud of your progress. There's another truth. Confidence is contagious. When you believe in yourself, others start to believe in you too. People are drawn to those who carry calm assurance. That's why leaders, entrepreneurs, and dreamers succeed. They radiate faith, and that energy influences everything around them. When you walk with confidence, you give others permission to do the same. But remember, confidence must be protected. Every day, life will test it through setbacks, through criticism, through fear. You have to feed your confidence like a fire. Speak life into yourself. Remind yourself of your victories. Celebrate progress, no matter how small. You're not who you used to be, you're evolving. And each time you overcome something, your confidence grows a little more. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait to feel ready. Start where you are with what you have. Speak even if your voice shakes. Try even if you might fail. Step forward even if your knees tremble. Because confidence doesn't come from winning every time. It comes from knowing you can survive, learn, and rise every time you fall. The world belongs to those who dare, the bold, the believers, the ones who act even when they doubt themselves. Confidence is your weapon against fear, your shield against failure, and your light in dark moments. You may not have it all figured out, but if you have confidence, real, quiet, earned confidence, you already have the key to everything you desire. So stand tall, speak with faith, move with purpose, and let your confidence be louder than your excuses. Focus is the power that separates dreamers from achievers. It is the invisible force that turns scattered energy into unstoppable momentum. When your mind is focused, your life becomes directed. You stop chasing everything and start building something. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what truly matters. The greatest mistake people make is not that they lack time, but that they waste it on distractions. Focus is the art of choosing what to ignore so you can give your best to what's important. We live in a world full of noise, notifications, opinions, entertainment, comparison. Everything is fighting for your attention. But here's the truth. Whatever captures your attention controls your direction. If you spend your time looking at what others are doing, you'll forget what you're capable of doing. If you keep scrolling, comparing, and reacting, you'll never have the stillness to create. Focus demands discipline. It demands that you silence the noise long enough to hear your own vision. Because when your mind is scattered, your strength is divided. But when your mind is focused, your strength is multiplied. Think of a magnifying glass. When sunlight passes through it, it can burn paper, not because the sun is stronger, but because the glass focuses its energy in one place. The same is true with your life. You already have the power, but you're spreading it too thin on too many tasks, too many distractions, too many worries. When you focus, that power becomes sharp, and sharp power can cut through anything. Let me share an example. A young woman had big dreams. She wanted to start a business, learn a new skill, get fit, and write a book. She started them all at once, but none succeeded. Every few weeks, she switched focus, jumping from one idea to another. Frustrated, she almost gave up. One day, a mentor told her, "You can't chase 5 rabbits and catch any. Choose one." So she chose to focus entirely on her business for 6 months. She shut out distractions, stopped multitasking, and gave it her all. Within a year, her business grew beyond what she imagined. Then she used that success to fund her other goals. That's the power of focus. It doesn't limit you. It builds a foundation for everything else. Focus requires clarity. You can't hit a target you can't see. Too many people wake up every day without direction, reacting instead of creating. They go through life on autopilot, drifting wherever the current takes them. But success is never found by accident. It's built through focus. You need to ask yourself daily, what really matters right now? What deserves my energy? When you identify your priorities, you eliminate confusion. Clarity creates power. Distraction is the enemy of progress. Every minute you give to distraction is a minute stolen from your destiny. When you let your attention wander, your dreams fade in the background. But when you fix your focus, you awaken your potential. Focus is not just about saying yes to what you want. It's also about saying no to what doesn't serve you. Every no protects your energy. Every boundary you set sharpens your direction. There was once a man who wanted to run a marathon. He started training, but every day he'd stop halfway, distracted by his phone or friends calling him to hang out. His coach told him, if you can't stay focused on the road, you'll never reach the finish line. So he left his phone at home, stopped engaging in small distractions, and committed fully to his goal. Months later, he crossed the finish line. When asked how he did it, he said, I learned to run past distractions. That's what focus does. It teaches you to run past the noise until your goal is the only thing you see. Focus also means being present. Too often, people live trapped in the past or worried about the future. They replay old mistakes or fear what's coming next, but forget the only power they truly have, the power of now. When you focus on the present moment, you give your full strength to what's in front of you. The painter doesn't think about the entire masterpiece. They focus on each brushstroke. The builder doesn't think about the whole house. They focus on laying one perfect brick. Success happens one focused moment at a time. In your journey, you'll face distractions disguised as opportunities. Not everything that glitters is gold. Some things look appealing, but steal your attention from what truly matters. Focus gives you the wisdom to discern the difference between movement and progress. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're moving forward. Activity is not achievement. You can run in circles all day and end up nowhere, but one focused step in the right direction changes everything. Focus also demands patience. Sometimes you'll give your best effort and not see results right away. But focus teaches you persistence. It reminds you that roots grow before fruits appear. The tree doesn't doubt its growth just because it doesn't see the sun every day. It keeps growing underground until it's strong enough to rise. Stay focused long enough, and your efforts will compound into something powerful. Even in relationships and personal growth, focus matters. You can't build strong connections if your attention is always divided. When you give someone your full focus, you give them value. When you listen deeply, you connect deeply. Focus is not just about achieving, it's about being intentional with your presence. Every great inventor, leader, and visionary had one thing in common: ruthless focus. They learned to shut out the world long enough to build something meaningful. While others were distracted by noise, they were building legacy. Your focus is your greatest asset. Protect it like treasure. At the end of the day, focus determines your future. You become what you focus on. If you focus on problems, you create more problems. If you focus on possibilities, you create more opportunities. Focus shapes perception, and perception shapes reality. When your focus is locked on purpose, no obstacle can derail you. So guard your mind, protect your time, eliminate distractions. Focus on your vision like your life depends on it, because it does. You can't change your life by trying everything, but you can transform it by committing to one thing with everything you have. When you focus deeply, you move quickly. When you focus consistently, you grow powerfully. Remember, a scattered mind produces scattered results, but a focused mind, oh, that's a weapon. It's unstoppable, unbreakable, and undeniable. The day you learn to master your focus is the day you become limitless, because when your mind is steady, your path becomes clear, and your life becomes unstoppable. Failure is not the end. It is the beginning of wisdom, strength, and transformation. Every person who has ever succeeded has walked through the valley of failure. Failure is not a sign that you are weak. It's proof that you are trying. Those who never fail are those who never take a risk, never step out of their comfort zone, never push beyond what's safe. Failure is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher, your silent guide, your invisible coach that shapes you into something stronger. The problem is not failing. The problem is quitting after you fail, because failure only wins when you stop learning from it. Think about a baby learning to walk. They fall dozens of times, but not once do they say, maybe walking isn't for me. They don't give up. They fall, they rise, they wobble, they try again. That's how they learn balance. That's how they build strength. And that's how success works in life. Every failure you face is not there to break you, but to build you. Failure introduces you to yourself. It shows you what you're made of. It reveals whether your desire to win is stronger than your fear of losing. There's a powerful truth. Failure is not a wall, it's a mirror. It doesn't stop you. It shows you who you are and what you still need to work on. Most people run from that mirror because they don't want to see their weaknesses. But strong people face it. They say, okay, I fell short. What can I learn? What can I improve? And then they rise wiser, sharper, and more prepared than before. Every setback hides a lesson, but only the humble and focused can see it. Let's take an example. A man wanted to build his own business. He invested his savings, worked day and night, and still the business failed. He lost money, confidence, and hope. Everyone around him said, you should have stayed at your job. For months, he believed them. But one day, he decided to look deeper. He realized he failed not because he wasn't capable, but because he lacked strategy. He studied, planned better, and started again. This time, he succeeded beyond his imagination. Later, he said, failure didn't stop me, it trained me. That's what failure does. It refines you until you're ready for the success meant for you. Failure strips away arrogance. It humbles you, grounds you, and forces you to rebuild with stronger materials. It teaches patience when you want results too fast. It teaches resilience when things don't go as planned. It teaches empathy because when you've fallen, you understand others who fall. Failure doesn't define your story, it develops it. Some of your most painful failures will become the most powerful parts of your testimony if you don't give up. The truth is, failure is often life's way of redirecting you. Sometimes what you think you want isn't what you truly need. A closed door isn't always rejection, it's often protection. There are times when failure saves you from something that would have destroyed you. You may not see it at the moment, but one day you'll look back and say, that failure was the best thing that ever happened to me. It pushed you to evolve, to grow, to move differently. Failure also teaches gratitude. When you've lost something and had to rebuild it, you appreciate every victory. Success that comes easy often fades fast, but success earned after failure becomes sacred. You cherish it more because you know the cost. You know the nights you cried, the times you doubted yourself, the pain of being misunderstood. And yet you kept going. That kind of success is not luck, it's transformation. Every failure carries hidden strength. When life knocks you down, it tests whether you can rise again. And every time you rise, you grow tougher. Failure builds resilience, the kind that no comfort zone can give. Resilience is like a muscle, it grows through struggle. You can't build strength without resistance. That's why failure is a gift. It trains you for the weight of greatness. Without it, you'd crumble under pressure. With it, you become unshakable. Take Thomas Edison, for example. He failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found 1,000 ways that didn't work. That's the mindset of champions. They don't see failure as defeat. They see it as data. Each attempt teaches them something new. Every mistake sharpens their vision, and that's why they win. Failure also teaches perspective. When you fail, you realize that life doesn't end. The world doesn't stop spinning. You may feel broken for a while, but time shows you that you're stronger than you thought. Failure humbles you, yes, but it also strengthens your faith in yourself, and in the process, you learn that falling doesn't make you a failure, staying down does. The real failure is refusing to rise. One of the most dangerous lies people believe is that success should be smooth. It never is. Every great story has chapters of struggle. The mountain you're climbing might feel steep, but the climb is what builds your character. You're not failing, you're forming. You're developing the strength needed to stand on the summit. And let's be honest, failure hurts. It crushes your pride, shakes your confidence, and sometimes makes you want to quit. But it's in that pain where growth begins. Pain is proof that you're stretching beyond your limits. No one grows in comfort. The pain of failure is temporary, but the wisdom it leaves behind is permanent. When you look at people who've achieved greatness, don't just admire their success, understand their scars. Behind every victory are countless failures that no one saw. They failed, they doubted, they cried, but they didn't stop. That's what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. So if you failed, good. It means you're in motion. It means you're trying. It means you're human. The only true failure is refusing to get up. You don't lose when you fall. You lose when you stay down. Get up with a new plan, a new mindset, a new fire. Let failure be your teacher, not your undertaker. The road to success is not a straight line. It's a road full of curves, bumps, and dead ends. Every turn teaches you something vital. Don't fear failure, embrace it. Let it sharpen your focus, deepen your resilience, and prepare you for what's ahead. One day, you'll look back and thank your failures for shaping the person you've become. Because success might make you rich, but failure makes you real, and the person who learns from failure becomes unstoppable. So when you fall, don't break, build, because failure is not where your story ends, it's where your greatness begins. Faith in yourself is the engine that drives everything forward. It's the voice inside that whispers, keep going, even when everything around you tells you to stop. Faith is not about what you see. It's about what you believe, even when there's no proof yet. It's the courage to trust your journey when you can't see the entire road. Without faith in yourself, you can have all the talent, all the opportunity, all the resources, but you'll still hesitate, doubt, and eventually stop. Faith is the invisible power that turns your vision into reality. It's what separates those who dream from those who do. Faith means believing in your potential even when life tests you to the core. You might be in a season of struggle right now where nothing seems to work, where doors keep closing, where the world feels heavy. But faith says, this is not the end, it's preparation. Faith allows you to see meaning in moments that seem meaningless. It gives you the strength to keep walking when the road feels endless. It's the belief that even though you haven't reached your destination, every step you take is taking you closer. There was a young woman who dreamed of becoming a writer. She poured her heart into her words, but every publisher rejected her. Letters came back saying, not good enough. Friends told her to quit, that she was wasting her time. But she had faith, not in luck, but in her calling. She kept writing, improving, pushing through the rejection. Years later, one book changed everything. That same woman became one of the most read authors in her country. When asked how she kept going after so much failure, she said, because I never stopped believing I was meant to do this. That's faith. It keeps you steady when results haven't yet arrived. Faith doesn't remove challenges. It gives you the strength to face them. It's not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about trusting that you'll come out stronger no matter what happens. Faith doesn't eliminate fear. It helps you move despite fear. You might be scared, uncertain, tired, but faith says, take one more step. Because faith isn't about knowing how, it's about believing that you'll find a way. In daily life, you see people give up too early. They start with excitement, but the moment things get tough, they quit. Why? Because they lose faith in themselves. The greatest battles aren't fought in the world, they're fought in the mind. Faith is the shield that protects your mind from doubt. When everything seems to fall apart, faith reminds you that you've been through storms before and survived. It tells you you are stronger than this moment. That inner voice, that unshakable belief in your ability to rise is what faith sounds like. Faith also requires patience. It's easy to believe when results come fast, but real faith stays strong in the waiting season. Sometimes the universe delays your success not to deny you, but to develop you. You're being strengthened, refined, prepared. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust that the process is working underground. Faith works the same way. You might not see the results yet, but something powerful is forming beneath the surface. There's a man who once dreamed of owning his own shop. For years, he worked as an assistant, saving every coin, studying every detail. When he finally opened his store, no one came. Days passed and sales were few. But instead of giving up, he kept the doors open, improved his service, and believed people would come. Months later, one article featured his small shop, and suddenly customers flooded in. Today, His store is a success, not because of luck, but because of faith. He said, I had no customers, but I kept the lights on. I kept believing someone would walk in. That's faith in action. Faith doesn't just help you achieve success. It helps you overcome pain. When you lose something, when you're betrayed, when life feels unfair, faith is what keeps you from collapsing. It reminds you that endings are often new beginnings in disguise. Faith tells you that nothing you've been through is wasted. Every heartbreak, every setback is shaping you into a version of yourself that's unbreakable. Faith is not arrogance. It's confidence rooted in truth. It's not about thinking you can't fail. It's about knowing you'll recover if you do. It's about walking forward even when you can't see the destination clearly, trusting that each step will reveal the next one. People who live with faith have a glow about them. They don't panic when things fall apart because they know there's something greater guiding them, even if they can't explain it. But faith needs action. You can't sit still and just hope. Faith moves. It acts, it works, it builds, it tries again. Faith without action is just a wish. When you believe in yourself, you don't wait for perfect conditions, you create them. You trust that the path will appear as you walk. It's like driving at night. You can only see a few meters ahead, but as long as you keep moving, you'll reach your destination. That's faith in motion. Even in relationships, faith plays a role. Faith helps you trust people again after being hurt. It helps you open your heart knowing that not everyone will betray you. It helps you see goodness in others even when the world seems cold. Faith keeps love alive because it reminds you that connection is worth the risk. When you have faith, you carry peace. You stop overthinking, overanalyzing, doubting every step. You stop asking, what if it doesn't work? And start saying, what if it does? Faith replaces worry with calm assurance that somehow, someway, things will work out. That peace gives you strength others can't understand. There will be moments when faith feels like the only thing you have left. When doors close, people leave, and plans fail. Faith is what holds you together. It's the whisper that says, you've made it through worse. It's the anchor that keeps you grounded when the storms of life rage. So, keep your faith strong. Believe in your abilities even when the world doubts you. Believe in your dream even when no one else sees it. Believe in the timing of your journey even when it feels delayed. Faith is your bridge from where you are to where you're meant to be. Don't let fear or failure silence your belief. Every great achiever was once where you are, unsure, afraid, unrecognized. But they kept the flame of faith alive. They believed before anyone else did, and that belief changed everything. Because when you have faith, real, unshakable faith, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing validation and start walking with conviction. You stop doubting your worth and start living your purpose. And once that happens, no mountain is too high, no dream too far, and no obstacle too strong. Faith turns the impossible into inevitable.